Greetings, everybody. Rajee Narinesingh here, transgender activist, actress, spiritualist, author, show host, board member, and reality TV personality. I also have a trans activist friend of mine, Miss Adriana Tender, who calls me the healer. So I have a lot of titles, y'all. Did you all recently hear about the controversy with actress Laverne Cox? I don't know if you know who she is, but if you don't, Google her, Laverne Cox. She is a Black trans woman actress here in America, pretty famous, and she recently came out with a video talking about how she was in a relationship with a white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed MAGA police officer. Well, she got a lot of backlash for that because it's like, how can you date someone like that when you know that they're against who you are as a person? So a lot of backlash. And it got me to thinking about my sexual/dating life. And I have a cousin who made a comment in response to the whole Laverne Cox controversy. And she said, I don't understand how anyone could date someone not knowing their political affiliation and their profession. And she has a point. But unless you are transgender, and specifically a transgender woman in this particular scenario, you won't understand it completely. For many of us, our dating lives are very transient. And what I mean by that is the guys come and go. You might see a guy once or twice a month, and all of a sudden he disappears for a few months and then pops back up. I mean, it's very much like that. And then they lie to us about everything, their names, their profession, whether they're married or not. They lie, lies. I mean, they lie a lot. And it's because we oftentimes are the secret. We are the secret. And they have their own heterosexual, straight, if you will, lives that they live. So it's difficult. And there's so many layers to it. Now, I know that men lie to cisgendered women. But with us, oftentimes it is to the 10th degree. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I want to say this. I can't speak for all trans women. I can only speak from my experience and what I have seen with some of my other trans girlfriends. And so I think I have a good footing to stand on when I speak about this. But again, I don't speak for every trans woman. And, each person's experience is different. So I can only speak from my perspective. I say that to say that I've dated all types of guys, predominantly men of color. So Black men, Hispanic men, Indian men, Korean, but I've also dated white men too, but predominantly men of color. So I have this white guy that I've been seeing for a number of years now. And recently, he made a comment. It wasn't anything profound. It was just kind of like a flip comment when he came over to see me. And I said, oh my God, he's a Trump supporter. Then there's this Hispanic guy that I've been dating for a number of years ago. And the same thing recently happened with him. And I said, oh my God, he's a Trump supporter. Now, the thing about Hispanic people, Latinos, is oftentimes they identify as white, and they kind of like go towards the white population here in America. But the reality is, these white folks here in America, these white Americans, they don't consider you one of them. To your face, they might smile and make nice, but to the core of it, they are still looking at you as separate. The reality is, though, Latinos, Hispanic people, if their bloodline goes all the way back to Spain, which in most cases it does, and if they haven't mixed with any indigenous or African descended people, then yeah, technically they are white. Spain is in Europe, they're white. But a lot of Latinos, Hispanic people, they do have that mixture, that blood mixture with the indigenous and the African descended people. So that would technically make them, it would make them a person of color, a mixed person of color. But a lot of them, they identify as white, and a lot of them go along with this Republican Party. So after these guys said what they said to me, and it was like I had the realization, like, oh my God, these are Trump supporters. I was like, oh my God, what freaking hypocrisy. These guys belong to a party that dislike someone like me and that are taking actions to hurt me and my community. They belong to that type of party, but they still come to my home, get in my bed, have sex with me, get their fantasy and get their rocks off, and then go back to their merry little lives. Hypocrisy, hypocrisy, hypocrisy. And then I have to question myself, like, do I want to allow a guy like that to even come into my home, into my bed, into my aura? This, because when you lay with someone, it is an exchange of energies. I know for sure I could not be with a guy like that. And what I mean by be with a guy like that is, be married to someone like that or be in like a long-term live-in relationship. I know for sure I couldn't. But even with these guys, that I'm talking about and other boyfriends that I've had, where they're very transient, they come and they go, they get lost for a while, pop back up, all of that. Even with them, I question, should I even allow myself to lie with someone like that, to have sex with someone like that and exchange energies? I question. And really, when I look at men in general, okay, whether you are Republican, Democratic, Independent, whatever you are, if you are a guy that is looking at me like a fantasy and you're fetishizing me, okay, do you really care about my well-being? Like if I'm some side piece that you just come every once in a while to get your fantasy and get your rocks off, do you really care about my well-being? Probably not. So it gets very complicated. There's so many different layers to it. What is a multiracial transgender woman like me to do? But really, seriously, it does get very complicated. And there's so many layers. And I actually don't think that there's one right answer. I think it's very much an individual thing based on the circumstances and, of course, the guy and their mentality and how they treat you and all of that. And then when these guys say, oh, I got 200 for you, I got 100 for you. For us transgender women, whether you are doing survival sex work, and even if you're not doing survival sex work, but you're just kind of barely making it in the world because of all the challenges, that's pretty tempting. $200, $100, that's pretty tempting. Everyone can, I'm sure, well, there are some people that don't need it. But what I'm saying is for the most part, most people can use the extra money. So that is another factor that you have to play into it. So again, like I said, a very complex issue. It really is. And I just don't think there's one right answer. Oh my God. The life of a transgender woman, dear Lord.